Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Sauce. Week 5 NFL is here. Bears at Commanders, a real scorcher of a matchup. Lines Washington -5.5, down from 6.5. Total sitting at 44.5. Let's roll.
Welcome to the Sauce. The Sauce. Sauce. Hey, get the sauce.
So like I said, this line was up at 6.5 earlier in the week. It's now down to 5.5. Action's pretty split on this one. Publicly's definitely leaning Washington. Sharp action definitely leaning Chicago. So it finally happened for Bears fans on Sunday. For about 2.5 quarters, Justin Fields finally started to look like the guy they traded up in the 2021 NFL draft for. Through 3 quarters, Justin Fields was 23 of 24 with 285 yards passing and 4 touchdowns and a perfect 158.3 passer rating. His only incompletion of the day up to that point in the game was a Hail Mary attempt at the end of the first half. He was he was absolutely perfect in the first 3 quarters of that game. Also, he was excellent outside the pocket. Entering Sunday, he only had 8 pass attempts from outside the pocket on the entire season. Against Denver, he was 7 of 8 with 2 touchdowns thrown from outside the pocket. As I'm sure you saw, Bears were up 28-7 with 4 minutes 11 seconds remaining on the clock in the third quarter. Shit was looking sweet for the Bears, but then Denver went on a 24-0 run to come back and win that game by a field goal. Now, obviously, we can put a lot of the blame on the defense, but it took just 1 quarter of bad Justin Fields football to basically unravel all of the good he did in the first 3. The Bears' final 4 drives of that game were a 3-and-out, a bad fumble on a bootleg, which I'm sure you saw the Broncos picked up in return for a touchdown, a turnover on downs, and then a really ugly intentional grounding that was directly followed by an interception. Justin Fields had career bests in passing yards, completions, passer rating, touchdowns, completion percentage, EPA per pass. Was the best game of his career. And the Bears somehow now move to 27-2 all-time when their quarterback finishes with a passer rating of at least 132. Fields had a 132.7. The harsh reality is the Bears are now 0-4, and they've lost 14 straight football games dating back to last season. And things are just dark, man. I mean, Justin Fields is now 5-24 as a starting quarterback. Matt Eberflus just 3-18 as a head coach. It's deflating to know that even when Justin Fields has the best game of his career, they still couldn't win a football game. I mean, thank God they covered the +3.5 because Bears +3.5 was one of my top bets. But, I mean, damn. And I just don't know if I see a light at the end of the tunnel here. I mean, defensively, let's talk about the Bears defense for a second. That completely decimated secondary might be even worse this Thursday. Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, and Eddie Jackson are all still out. They missed last week against Denver. They're all still out. And now Jaquan Brisker might not even play. He's the best piece remaining on that secondary. So the Bears might be missing the 4 best players in their secondary in this game. As I'm sure you can probably guess, the Bears defense analytically is absolutely terrible. 31st in DVOA, 31st against the pass. Is there any hope for this defense? There's just zero hope for this defense. I do have some good news for the Bears defense, though. They're playing Washington, and they're on the road. The reason that's good news, Washington's offense last year averaged just 17.8 points per game at home, just 323.6 yards per game, and 34% third down conversions. Washington's offense was terrible at home last year. And I know we're only through 4 games this season, but they're off to the same kind of start. They've played 2 home games and 2 away games. Their 2 road games at Denver and at Philly, the Commanders combined for 66 points, 753 yards, and 40.7% third down conversions. But in their 2 home games against Buffalo and Arizona, Washington combines for just 23 points, 478 total yards, and a 23.8 third down conversion percentage. So they're off to a terrible start at home again offensively. The biggest issue with this Washington offense by far is pass protection. They're dead last. Commanders are 32nd in adjusted sack rate, 24th in pressure rate allowed. Washington has allowed 14 sacks in the last 2 games. 14 sacks in the last 2 games. I don't even know how much of a factor that is in this matchup because the Bears pass rush just doesn't exist. It's non-existent. Bears have recorded just 3 sacks on the season through 4 games, just 3 sacks. They're dead last in adjusted sack rate, dead last in pressure rate. I mean, this might be officially a battle between the worst pass rush in the NFL against the worst pass protection in the NFL. Somebody's got to win. And winning this battle is absolutely huge because Sam Howell has really struggled under pressure this season. When pressured, Sam Howell is dead last in sack percentage, 31st in passer rating, and tied for the league lead with 4 interceptions when pressured. When given a clean pocket, Sam Howell's numbers look much better, 17th in passer rating and just 1 interception. And this is important because keep in mind, the run game might not be there for Washington. Chicago, as much as we can trash their secondary and can trash their pass defense, they've actually been decent against the run this year. They're 10th in yards per carry allowed, 11th in adjusted line yards, and 18th in rushing yards per game allowed. You can definitely see the difference in the Bears defense from last year. They were terrible against the run last year. They added both TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker, and all of a sudden they're decent against the run. I mean, they're not a great run defense, but by Chicago Bears defense standards, they have an excellent run defense. Last season, these two teams played. They played on Thursday Night Football, actually. It was week 6. Final score of that game was 12-7 Washington, and the Commanders' offense leaned heavily on the run in that game. 28 carries for 128 yards on the ground, and they needed it because Carson Wentz was absolutely awful. 12 of 22 for 99 yards passing, just 4.5 yards per pass attempt. But this is a new look Washington Commander offense under Eric Bieniemy. Last year they were 10th in run frequency, so they ran the ball a lot last year. This year they're 29th. Commanders are throwing the ball a lot more often than they did last season, and that plays directly into the weakness of the Bears defense that busted up injured secondary. Now, on the other side of the ball, when it comes to the Bears offense, I'm still going to handicap the Bears offense as terrible. I mean, getting Tevin Jenkins back at left guard definitely helps, and I know they look good. They look really good for a big portion of the game last week against Denver, but the Broncos might have the worst defense in the NFL. Bears are 31st in DVOA. You want to know who's 32nd? Denver. That defense is bad. So I'm not going to overreact and all of a sudden declare the Bears a dangerous offense when I really don't believe they are. And we got a mismatch on this side of the ball. The Washington Commanders defensive front is good. Bears pass protection, 30th in adjusted sack rate, 23rd in pressure rate. Commanders defense, 4th and 14th in those categories. We just watched this Washington defensive front give Jalen Hurts and Philly problems. They sacked Jalen Hurts 3 times in that game. The Bears offensive line should just get bullied by the Washington pass rush in this one. The Denver Broncos have a terrible pass rush, and Justin Fields was still sacked 4 times in that game. I'm sure the Bears offense is going to come out looking to establish the run in this game because on paper, they should be able to run the ball a little bit on Washington's D. They don't have an elite run defense. But the thing is, throughout the course of this game, the Washington pass rush is just going to make too many plays to be able to keep a drive going for the Bears, which is why I got to lay the points in this one. I'm siding with the public here. I hate the idea of laying 5.5 points with Washington. I'm not that big on this Washington team, but I think Sam Howell should have a solid night throwing the ball. That Bears secondary is so beat up right now. I'm expecting the Commanders to put up a big number on the scoreboard here, so I'll say Washington minus 5.5, and I'll probably also put a few dollars on the over at 44.5.
Completely forgot to share Prop Beaver's Underdog, so he's got a 3-pick. He took advantage of the free leg. Make sure you take advantage of that if it's available. Justin Fields higher than a half passing yard. DJ Moore higher than 49.5 receiving yards. Joey Sly higher than 7 kicking points. That's a 3-pick, so it pays out 6 times. If you don't have an Underdog Fantasy account, it's available in any state highlighted on this map. So if you're in one of these states and you don't have an account, go to Underdog Fantasy. You can go on the website or you could download the app. Make sure you use the promo code BET, B-E-T. That'll give you a deposit bonus match. Right now it's $100. So if you deposit $100, they will give you a free $100 to play with.
If you want my top bets, parlays of the day, well, for Thursday Night Football, it'll be a same game parlay. If you want to join our Discord or if you want to get on the NFL Against the Spread competition, head over to KyleKirms.com. All the information can be found right on the homepage. NFL Week 5, Thursday Night Football. Not exactly a screamer of a game, but let's place our bets and have some fun. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.